to MTG Friends. I'm Ryan. One of our first Commander deck techs was one of my favorite tribal decks to do, which is Tribal Spider. So we are gonna revisit Ishkana Grafwidow. I decided after playing this a bunch of times that it was just underpowered, and I decided to throw a little stank jank into it. So let's go into it. If of course you want to see the original build, you can go back and check out the original Ishkana. Come a long way in these deck takes since then. Let's go ahead and look at the packages, and I'll go through kind of what I changed, what gives it more power than the original, and yeah, let's do that. Let's do that now. All right, as usual, let's look through the packages. So we are almost entirely tribal. There's just a couple of creatures in here that aren't aren't changelings, shapeshifters, shenanigans going on like Colossus. All right, let's move into this. Spiders, because after all, we're playing Ishkana. Land package, ramp, a couple protection pieces you expect to see in green. Some token action. We got the two big heavy hitters, doubling season and parallel lives in here, because after all, we want to create a handful of tokens in here. This is not a pure token generating synergy shizzle going on here. We got a good amount of removal, but at the same time, we want to keep our spiders sticky and sweet. All right, tribal, just a few of them, and some draw and shenanigans. And in the maybe board is going to be a lot of the stuff I pulled out that used to be in there. I'll go through that briefly in a bit. As usual, thank you for being a subscriber. Thanks for hitting that like button. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. You hear it every time in everybody's video, right? Ugh, it's overwhelming. I just want to watch the freaking video, man. All right, Ishkana Grafwidow. I really recommend you having a deck like this in your arsenal, especially if you tend to play more powered stuff in your play groups, which I do. This one is just a nice turn, but it has lots of nice win cons and can get you there even if you're playing disgusting craziness like Toxrill decks and just janky stanky stuff. Ooh, I said janky stanky twice. All right, Ishkana, what the hell does this thing do? Let's go through it. Legendary creature spider, the coolest spider in all of mankind and womankind, right? Reach, delirium. When Ishkana Grafwidow enters the battlefield, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, put 3 1/2 green spider creature tokens with reach onto the battlefield. For 7 with the black pip, target opponent loses 1 life for each spiders you control. So one of our win cons is, of course, having spiders go wide. Another is just beating the crap out of our opponents. Yeah, you can do it with these spiders, I tell you what. All right, so we're gonna go through the spider package, but let me briefly talk about some of the changes that made this a higher power deck. One, most and foremost, we removed all of the comes in tapped lands, which is splattered all over this sideboard. The other thing we did was remove all of the mana dorks like birds, which in 2 colors doesn't really get us that much. The mystics, the elves, all of those mana dorks, and swapped them out for mana rocks or other ways of, cultivate that kind of stuff. I mean, for surezies, you could throw in a Mind Stone. I didn't, but just a few more mana rocks as opposed to mana dorks. Mana dorks. All right, so that's the first one. The other one is we removed a bit of the more, dare I say, lame spiders, but I mean, it's all good. And we have some shenanigans in here, which allows us to hit with our butts, because spiders, after all, have reach and big booties. Big booties, 2 E's. What? Oh, whatever. All right, here we go. And of course, even though spider tribal, of course, the first one is a non-spider construct. All right, comes to the battlefield as your creature of your choosing. other creatures you have of that type get +1/+1. Totally swappable card. I like it because it ends up being a spider itself, and it buffs all of our creatures. So instead of like dropping, say, a coat of arms, which is going to help your opponents as well, this one just helps your own shizzle. All right, Arachnus Spinner. I did not have this in there originally, but I put it in here because it lets you fetch Arachnus Web, which is actually a kind of hilarious, janky card, which we'll get into next, where it comes in. It's an R enchantment. You can put it on your opponent's creature, and then suddenly it loses all abilities, can't attack, and can't block. And then if it has, I believe, power 4 or more, then it gets whack-a-mole at like the intern or something. So it's very great spot removal. Tap an untapped spider you control, search your graveyard and or library for a card named Arachnus Web, and put it on the battlefield attached to target creature. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. Yep. Arasta of the Endless Web. This was out of Theros Beyond Death. And then all of these spiders have reach, of course. Whenever an opponent casts an instance or sorcery spell, create a 1/2 green spider token with reach. Blight Widow. We're going to blast through these spiders because a lot of them are vanilla. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Reach, Infect, a 2/4 for 4. Chain Web. This is the one out of Theros Beyond Death where you can escape it again, and it comes in with 3/1/1 counters on it. And then you whack a flyer with its power. Very nice. And it's a nice 1-drop. And of course, because we're in spiders, this thing is a spider. Oh, I love all the artwork. Because this one's just so janky and awesome. Changeling, which means it's a spider in this case. Protection from Blacken for 4. We can buff it +X/+X, where X is its power. Very, very bueno-licious. Deadly Recluse, Reach, Touch. Doomweaver. This is a relatively new one. A Crimson Vow Commander. Yeah, I thought it was a commander deck. It's got Reach and Soul Bond. For people who aren't familiar with Soul Bond, you can pair it with a creature as it enters the battlefield. They remain paired for as long as you control both of them. As long as Doomweaver is paired with another creature, each of those creatures has, when this creature dies, draw cards equal to its power. And notice it's booty. Holy shnikes, a 1/8. It is a 6-drop, but it allows us to get draw. And like I said, we do have a couple cards that let us hit with our keysters. Grave Robber, another great spider, 4-drop, gets +X/+X until end of turn for 3 and a black. Like I said, we're going to try to get through these spiders pretty quickly. Grave Shifter to go grab a creature out of our graveyard, put it in hand, and it's also a spider in this case. Hatchery Spider, another super janky, awesome spider. When you cast a spell, reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. You may put a green permanent card with converted mana cost X or less from a mana on the battlefield. Blur. And it's a 5/7 with reach, which is super janky stanky. All right, this one is a new one in this deck. It's Lolth Spider Queen. This is, as of this recording, in Standard. I actually play this Planeswalker in a mono black build, which is super awesome for climbing the ladder. Went Mythic last. Did I go Mythic with mono black? Yeah, I believe I went Mythic last season as of this recording, of course, with the deck that has this. Anyways, it's -3, immediately gives you 2 black spiders with menace and reach, and every time one of your creatures dies, it gets a loyalty counter. And I have never ultimated this in Standard, but let's read it just in case it lives long enough for you to ultimate it. You get an emblem whenever an opponent is dealt combat damage by 1 or more creatures you control. If that player lost less than 8 life this turn, they lose life equal to the difference. That's not all that great of an ultimate, but you know what? That's all right. And for its 0, you can draw a card and lose a life, which is actually pretty bueno, yo. All right, Metallic Mimic. In the true spirit of Tribal, you turn it into a spider, and then each creature that comes into the battlefield that's a spider gets a +1/+1 counter. That card, by the way, completely swappable. If You don't want it in there, don't have it, don't have the budget, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't say this is a budget deck by any means, but I mean, we are running spiders, yo. Spiders typically are not that costly in terms of the wallet. Nyx Weaver, at the beginning of your upkeep, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. And for 3, exile Nyx Weaver, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Helps with the delirium, but more importantly, spider, spider, spider. Obelisk Spider, reach. Whenever Obelisk Spider deals combat damage to a creature, put a -1 counter on that creature. It's almost infect without the infect. Deals damage with -1 counters on it. Each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Now, if this hits your opponent's face, that is not in the form of -1 counters. Slight differentiation, as you see. Oran Reef Recluse. This one has kicker. If it's kicked, you can destroy target creature with flying, which helps in a pinch, even though all of our spiders have reach, which is part of the spider stuff. Reach, Penumbra, Spider. Oh, I remember when this was actually in standard eons ago. Man, when was that? Time Spiral, that's right. I actually ran like 4 of these in a standard deck. I think I usually got my ass kicked, but I can't remember with that particular deck. Can block as though it had flying. When Penumbra Spider is put into a graveyard, you get a token 2/4 Black Spider. Rot Widow pack. For 5, you can exile a creature card and create a 1/2 green spider creature token. This one is fairly vanilla. Not much to say about this one. I love Silklash Spider. This thing has been around for eons. It can block as though it had flying. And for green X, it deals damage X to each creature with flying. Super hilarious if you're dealing with like somebody's spirit deck or flying shenanigans. Silklash is just phenom. Sporeweb Weaver, core 21, reach hexproof from blue. Whenever it's dealt damage, you gain a life and create a 1/1 green sapperling creature token. Some of these spiders, dare I say, are filler because we're doing lots of spiders, but this one is strong enough to be included. Stinger Fling Spider. Whenever Stinger enters the battlefield, you may destroy a target creature with flying. That's right. Don't be bringing us no flyers, yo. All right, Sweet Gum Recluse, 6-drop. I do not like that this is a 6-drop. For what it does, it seems like it should be at most 5, but hey, you know what? I don't work for WOTC, y'all. Flash Cascade, reach. Cascade is nice, so Cascades for 6, so we can go grab a permanent that's 5 or less, which is nice. From the top of our library out. It's got flash as well, so we can surprise people with it. When it enters the battlefield, ETBs, put 3 1/1 counters on each of any number of target creatures that enters the battlefield this turn. So that ain't too shabby, but it does cost 6. So we're leaving it in because it's a spider and it's pretty jankalicious. All right, we are in removal. Assassin's Trophy, go whack-a-mole, a permanent, give them a land for their troubles. Basic, I think. Basic land? Basic land. Damnation for that reset button if you need it. We are not running tutors in this, so you can't tutor for this, and we want our board wide, so Damnation actually could be removed if you tend to be in play groups that have lots of removal already anyways. Clear as mud. Clear as mud. Deadly Rollick. If you got your commander out, cost you nothing. Exile target creature. I love Deadly Rollick. You'll see it in a lot of the black builds. Force of Vigor. You'll see this one a lot in green builds. If it's not your turn, cost you dumping a green card and cost you nothing. That was terrible English, but we're going to just keep moving anyways. Destroy up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. Kindred Dominance. This one, again, just like Damnation, if you are in play groups that typically have a lot of removal, mass removal anyways, you don't need to run this. Choose a creature type. Spiders. Destroy all creatures that aren't of the chosen type. This one goes across any synergies of tribal that you got going on in black, y'all. Crows and Grip, also swappable since we got Vigor in here. But it does have split second, which means it can't be countered. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. I'm really moving my hands a lot, especially my right one. Putrefy, destroy target artifact or creature can't be regenerated. Toxic Deluge, also a reset button, same as Damnation. As an additional cost to cast a spell, pay X life. For any of these permanents out there, creatures that just won't go away because of indestructible, all creatures get -X until end of turn. All right, this one is in the shenanigans category. Each creature you control with toughness greater than its power assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. I immediately thought this was hilarious for the Spider deck when Crimson Vow came out. The reason we can't run Doran, of course, which lets us swing with butts, is because it's not in our Golgari colors. Doran actually has white as well, so boo, can't run Doran. But we can run Ancient Lumber Knot. Arachnus Web, like we're talking about, we can fetch it up. Enchanted creature can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated at the beginning of your end step if enchanted creature power is 4 or greater. Destroy Arachnus Web. So, if you got any of those 2/2s, 3/3s, 1/3s, etc., 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 that are just causing you all sorts of bull schnackles, this is a great one in a pinch. All right, another one that is full out not a spider, full out swappable, but it's in here because it gives our spiders even more power because creatures you have now have Death Touch. And creatures your opponent control lose Death Touch, which would be absolutely off the chain funny if you were dealing with a Fin deck, Infect deck, which is oddly very specific for me to talk about in this episode. But I do have a Fin Infect deck, which you can check out in our other videos. That is absolutely hilarious and a fun challenge to try to whack-a-mole 3 other opponents, which is possible. I've done it multiple times, but you immediately have a target on your back. But let's get back to some spider action, y'all. Assault Formation 2. This one lets us assign damage with our booties. Yet again, target creature with defender can't attack this turn as though it didn't have a defender. That has absolutely no relevance in this deck. For 3 creatures you control, get +1 in the butt until end of turn. Absolutely relevant. Possible win con, Craterhoof Behemoth. We cannot tutor it up because we're not running tutors. So like the couple cards I said that we could swap out, if you want to have the Worldly Tutor in here and the other green tutors, you could absolutely swap those in for these if you so desire. It's going to make the price of the deck go up, but hey, you know what? We don't run budget decks. We don't do it. We play the cards we want to play, y'all. Well, I just said y'all twice. I am not from the South, as you probably already know. Creekwood Liege for 4 in Golgari. Black creatures +1, green creatures +1. Beginning upkeep, you can put a 1/1 black and green worm creature token onto the battlefield. And we're running doubling season, so this is gonna do fun shizzle. It is so hard not to swear. Whew, shizzle. You know what that means. All right, Deathrite Shaman, because you know what? Seems like people just play out of their graveyards all the dang time. Ooh, damn's fine. Damn time. Exile target land card from a graveyard, add 1 mana of any color. Exile target instant sorcery. Each opponent loses 2 life. And most importantly, for green, exile target creature card from a graveyard. You gain 2 life. We don't so much care about 2 life, but getting rid of those graveyard plays is awesomeness maximus. Awesomeness. Duplicant. This bad boy comes in and we can make it a copy of a creature on the board, including our own if we so desire, if we need more tribal shenanigans going on. Tree Folk Umbro. This Umbro, man. Umbro. This one gives our butts another 2. And if the creature dies, you crack this totem armor and it comes back to the battlefield. This is a great card. I can't remember if this was originally printed in Modern Horizons. It was! I immediately saw the potential for Tree Folk Umbra for Doran deck and anything that's butt-oriented. Talking about butts, yo. Talking about butts. Briefly, we will go through the land base. Like I said, the original iteration of this deck had way too many enters the battlefield tapped. So I was like, get rid of this flipping stuff because we don't want to keep losing a mana turn each turn. For every turn. Command tower. Wow. My brain just went. Death Cap Glade. If you got 2 or more lands, comes in untapped. You're gonna hear me say untapped a lot. If this is the 4th land, Fabled Passage, you crack it. Woo! Crap the bed right there. You crack it and go grab a basic land, and it comes in untapped. Good amount of force because we got rid of some of those. Comes in tapped. ETB shenanigans. Land War Waste. You ping yourself for 1 for the colors you need. Nurturing Peatland. Pay 1 life. Add the colors we need. The original Shock Land comes in untapped for 2 life. Prismatic Vista. This is overkill because we're in 2 colors. But we ran the fetch line, Verdant Catacombs and Prismatic Vista. You can easily swap this one out for another basic land. Swamps, good amount of those. Swarm Yard to regenerate our spiders if we need. Tap, regen. Tainted Woods. Hey, so you see the theme. Untapped lands that give us the colors we need. This one is a nice mana filter. Verdant Catacombs, like I was saying, go fetch us the cards we need, like our Shockland, whatevs. Westfield Abbey, this comes in a pinch more times than you can possibly imagine because most likely we got Delirium, we bring in our commander, and then, did I explain what the commander did? Yes, I believe so. So if it has Delirium, this comes in, and then we get spiders for it, which gives us fodder for Westfield Abbey. Had a brain fart there for a second. And for 5, you can tap it, sacrifice 5 creatures, transform Westfield Abbey, then untap it. It becomes a 9/7 flying, indestructible, lifelinker, beat your face bad boy. It's just awesome. Awesomeness Maximus. The only thing they can really do with it is exile it. And the fact that it has lifelink is this thing wins games, yo. Wins games. Woodland Cemetery, another one that comes in untapped. What if it was a swamp or a forest? Well, that's gonna happen. We're gonna have a swamp or a forest for surezies. All right, we're into a few token things. Arachnogenesis, create X1/2 green spider creature tokens with reach, where X is the number of creatures attacking you. So it's kind of like a fog on crack. You can decide to just let everybody swing in, assuming they're not going to counter your spell. Be careful about that. And then you can create X1/2 green spiders, and you can prevent all damage. That is hilarious. Hilarioso. Very, very cool. And then you got a bunch of spiders for however many. So they might be going in lethal, but you can go, no, 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 no. Oh, and if you got Doubling Season out and you crack that one, and you play that one, you now have double. Double, yo. Double for your trouble. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens, you create twice that many. If an effect would put counters on, you create twice that many. Helm of the Host. Yes, yes. This is just some jank for the stank. At the beginning of combat of your turn, create a token that's a copy of a equipped creature, except that token isn't legendary if equipped creature is legendary. That token gains haste. It does cost a shizzle ton to equip, though. So you could always put in a sword instead if you want, or just swap this out if you don't have it or you want a budgetary card in there. It's just in there because it's funny, and I like it, and I like to play it, and I have it. Parallel Lives, a baby Doubling Season. If an effect would put 1 or more tokens on the battlefield under control, it puts twice that many. And we're more about tokens than +1 counters in this deck. In fact, are there really all that many? There really aren't that many +1 counter generation shenanigans going on. Second Harvest, for each token you control, create a token that's a copy of that permanent. Woo! If you got Doubling Season out and you got tokens out and you play this, wow, fun. Spider spawning, create a 1/2 green spider. Bleh. Let's start that again. Create a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach for each creature card in your graveyard. Flashback 7. Whew. So as long as somebody hasn't Bajuka bogged you or exiled your whole graveyard, which they're probably going to try to if you're playing those kind of opponents, which I typically do, this thing is going to really crack for some awesome stuff. Otherwise, it's dead in your hand for a little while. Guardian Project. Creature hits the battlefield, you draw a card. Harmonize, draw 3 cards. We are in draw. Kindred Summons, technically not draw, but choose a creature type, reveal the top of your library until you reveal X creature cards of the chosen type, where X is the number of creatures you control of that type. So this could really grab you a ton of spiders, actually. So let's say the board is stalled out, you got lots of blockers, you got lots of spiders, then you go grab more, and then you keep doing your commander's mechanics, and then suddenly you win. Win. Life Crafter's Bestiary. You scry at the beginning of your upkeep, and then you can pay green if you do draw a card when you cast a creature spell. Return to the Wild Speaker. If we're wide, we want to give them all +3/+3 and swing in. That's one way to do it. Otherwise, we can draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures we have. Our butts are bigger than our power, but this can definitely help in a pinch, especially if we have some of the tribal shenanigans we're about to get to. Sylvan Library, need I say more? You grab 3 cards, and then you can pay 8 to have all 3. Otherwise, you can pay 4 for 1, or just draw a card. Boom, boom, in the room. All right. Ramp is pretty basic in here. Arcane Signet. Cultivate to go grab a card, play an extra, put another one in your hand. Dark Ritual. You could totally swap this out, but I put it in here because it just gets us up to where we need to go pretty darn quick. Golgari Signet and our colors. Kodama Reach to go search up to 2 basic lands. Reveal them, put one on the battlefield tapped and the other in your hand. Mindstone. Oh, I did put Mindstone in here. All right. Adds colorless to your mana pool. Sack it. Draw a card. Sky Shroud Claim. One of my favorites in terms of going and grabbing forest cards. For 4, you go grab 2. You put them on the battlefield untapped, and it's forest, so you can go grab special ones like our Shocklands, etc. Soul Ring. Talisman of Resistance. You could totally swap this one out if you don't need to run this many mana rocks, but this is about right, however many we got, because we're not running mana dorks. Heroic Intervention to give all of our permanents hexproof and indestructible at the end of turn, which helps for everything except for exile mass removal. Veil of Summer, totally swappable card, but I just seem to continually run into black and blue players because, you know, that is 2 of the color wheel. Draw a card if an opponent has cast a blue or black spell this turn. Spells you control can't be countered this turn. You and permanents you control gain hexproof from blue and from black until end of turn, which is so helpful most of the time. If you end up in a play group that has 3 players playing anything but black and blue, I will be shocked and surprised. All right, Tribal, just a few, but very spicy. Spicy indeed. If you're running Tribal, Door of Destinies is a card for you. As Door of Destiny enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, put a charge counter on Door of Destinies. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1 for each charge counter on Door of Destinies. So, I argue that, or I recommend putting this one into play instead of, say, Coat of Arms, because Coat of Arms helps the whole board. This one helps just you. Herald's Horn, playing double duty. Creature spells cost 1 less to cast, and at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card of that chosen type, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. So helps draw, helps ramp us. Vanquisher's Banna. I am just losing the ability to speak in this episode. As it comes in, we say spiders. Creatures you control get +1/+1. But more importantly, whenever you cast a creature spell of that chosen type, draw a card. And Ishkana, there we go. So I decide to upgrade this bad boy. It was already fun to play. I just felt like it would be fun to go ahead and revisit a fairly old deck in the MTG Friends arsenal of decks you can go through. This one is even more spicy. I have a feeling we're going to get a few more groans when we play opponents, but it's just casual love enough that nobody's going to bitch about Ishkana, Grafwidow, and even if they do, who cares? I mean, we're all friends here, right? MTG Friends. You see what I did there? Yeah. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being a supportive channel. Peace.